Hi, in this video I'll help you get to know your car a little better. At the end of this video I've put together a straightforward infographic that summarizes all the key points. Like, subscribe and comment below, it really helps.
Hey everyone! So, if you're here, I'm guessing you've got that pesky P145C check engine light staring you down in your Chevy. Well, don't you worry, today we're gonna crack this code together. Yep, there it is, you know the one, that glowing, kinda menacing amber light on your dash. It's like the universal symbol for, uh-oh, this might be expensive. It definitely gets the heart rate up, right? But here's the thing, knowledge is power. And that little light, it's not a death sentence. It's just the first clue in our investigation. So let's put on our detective hats. We're going to solve the mystery of code P145C. Seriously, think of it like that. The code itself is our big clue. We're going to follow the evidence, check out the scene, and track down the culprit. And by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly what's going on under your hood. All right, first things first. Every good detective starts at the scene of the crime. And for us, that's a part of your car you probably don't think about much. It's anti-pollution system. Let's dive in and see what we're dealing with. Okay, so what even is this thing? EVAP stands for Evaporative Emission Control System. It sounds really complicated, but the idea is actually super simple. Think of it as your car's own little recycling program. Instead of letting raw gas fumes from your tank just float off into the atmosphere and cause pollution, the EVAP system traps them. Then it sends those fumes back into the engine to be burned off. Pretty smart, right? It's all about keeping the air we breathe a little cleaner. Okay, so now we know where our investigation is focused, the EVAP system. Now it's time to look at our main piece of evidence, the code itself. What is P145C actually trying to tell us? Because it's not just some random combination of letters and numbers. No, it's a very specific message from your car's brain. Get this. This whole headache comes down to this tiny, tiny number, 0.01 psi. I mean, can you even imagine how small that is? Your car's computer is constantly running these little self-tests, and for the EVAP system, it's checking to see if it can hold a very slight vacuum. We're checking less than 0.01 psi of pressure. It's an incredibly sensitive system, which is why even a tiny issue can set it off. So let's boil it all down. In simple terms, your car's EVAP system failed a very important leak test. That's it. The computer said, hey, hold this vacuum for me, and the system couldn't do it. And that failure is what triggers the P145C code and turns on that check engine light. All right, so we know a crime was committed, a leak test failed. Now it's time to round up the usual suspects. In pretty much every P145C case, the culprit is going to be one of these three main components. Okay, suspect number one, and honestly the most likely culprit, is the EVAP leak detection pump. Its whole job is to create that tiny bit of vacuum for the test. So it makes sense, right? If the pump itself is broken or maybe something's blocking it, it just can't do its job. The test fails before it even really starts. Now, suspect number two is a little different, kind of sneaky, the propulsion system. Here's the deal. That leak test is only supposed to run when the car is off. But what if a wonky sensor or some electrical gremlin fools the computer into thinking the engine is running when it's not? Well, the test gets all confused, fails, and throws this code. It's less of a direct culprit and more of an accomplice giving false information. And finally, we have suspect number three, the EVAP purge valve. This little guy is like a gatekeeper. It controls when those trapped fuel vapors get sent back to the engine. But if it gets stuck shut, well, you've got a roadblock. The pump tries to create a vacuum, but it can't because the path is blocked. So, naturally, the test fails. Okay, we've got our lineup of suspects. Now it's time for the interrogation room. We're going to break down the specific conditions for this code so we can figure out which one of these parts is the real troublemaker. So this chart really breaks it down for us. Let's walk through it. First up, if the system just plain fails the vacuum tests, like it takes way too long or just doesn't start, your prime suspect is that pump, or maybe a blockage. So you'll want to check the lines for clogs or leaks, and if they're all clear, chances are the pump itself is toast. Next, if the computer thinks the engine is running when it's not, well, that's an electrical gremlin. You'll need to check the fuel system and related components for faults. And lastly, if that EVAP purge valve is stuck closed, this one's pretty straightforward. You've got to replace the valve and just inspect the system for any other blockages. All right, We've identified the suspects, we know their methods, our investigation is pretty much wrapped up. So, what do you do now? Let's talk about your next move to finally close this case. Here's your game plan, plain and simple. Step 1, start with the easy stuff. Just pop the hood and do a good old-fashioned visual check. Look for any hoses that are obviously cracked, disconnected, or blocked. You'd be surprised what you can find. Step 2, focus on our prime suspects, that leak detection pump and the purge valve. That's where you should put your attention. And step 3, hey, if you've done all that and the mystery isn't solved, there's absolutely no shame in calling in the pros. But now you're not just going in blind. You can walk into that mechanic shop and say, hey, I've got a P145C and I've already checked A, B, and C. That is a game changer. You know, this quote here really says it all. When troubleshooting, it is important to be thorough. This is the golden rule for sure. A big takeaway here is don't just throw parts at the problem. Don't just replace the pump and cross your fingers. Be methodical. Be thorough. Check everything connected to it. That way you'll know you actually fixed the problem, not just kicked the can down the road. And there you have it. The mystery of the P145C code is officially cracked. See? It wasn't some scary, random thing. It was a specific clue pointing to a totally solvable problem with your car's emission system. So the only question left is, are you ready to get out there and take control of that check engine light?